That's where we're gonna go, I guess. Okay, so this first article that I wanted to take a look at is this woman who essentially talks about, wait, I'm not sharing my screen. I need to, hold on. So it's, yeah, I'm going to show the whole thing. Sorry, technical difficulties. Can you see big tech occupation, Kyle?
Yeah.
So I actually looked up, and again, not to ad hominem her or anything, but Molly McCann is the lady who she served for the same legal team as Sidney Powell, who is the woman who was released from the Trump legal team because of really, really outlandish stuff that she said, like linking the election to Venezuela and like Hugo Chavez and stuff like that. So that's who wrote this article, is one of her co-counsel people. So this quote right here at the beginning is where it starts. So it says, big tech has infiltrated the American homeland and is imposing speech laws that resemble those of Europe, challenging the authority and longevity of the First Amendment. Okay, so in an article that we'll take a look at here in a second, we'll talk about the First Amendment and how there are abridgments to free speech. So that's just all there is to it. And she talks about the
Hold on.
United
Let
the
me say
United States having needing to take an absolutist approach to the First Amendment. So go ahead.
so I like if you look at that sentence, it starts with big tech and ends with First Amendment. Big tech is not a protected body by any part of the Constitution, let alone the First Amendment.
Correct. Let alone they do not impose speech laws.
Yeah.
So this is where I really think this lady, she uses language however she wants to at different times, and that's how you can tell that it's contradictory. So right there it says imposing speech laws, and then if you come down a little bit, it talks about the United States, yada yada yada. There it is. The big tech internal speech codes. That's exactly what they are. They are not laws. Twitter is not enforcing a law. Facebook's not enforcing a law. They have internal speech codes for which, dangerous speech is looked for. Hate speech, white nationalist rhetoric. These are all good things that need to be flagged and taken off, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, once again, I think you pretty much just nailed it. This lady's just using language in completely contradictory ways to try to make her argument.
Yeah. So this one, let's see. This one I liked a lot actually because my quote is down at the bottom and we'll get to it, but this article, bro, I think you should actually read this one because it talks about Jack Dorsey and Zuckerberg having an idea. So like this right here, somewhat of an algorithmic marketplace. So like we know that algorithms essentially drive all of what we see, right? And basically they have, yeah, so right here it says algorithms too often work to send you content that is too similar, yada yada. So like changing up the algorithms could totally change up the person's social media experience. Shoot, I lost mine. Oh yeah, here it is. So all media properties censor themselves to some extent. We are vulnerable to lawsuits by people saying we defamed or libeled them. We also live and die by the First Amendment, which confers on us great rights, but in fact is not absolute. Congress has made laws, as have courts, the FCC, and the FTC, that abridge the freedom of speech. Just as Congress has made laws, despite the Second Amendment, saying you as a civilian cannot buy a 50 caliber machine gun.
See, this is where we can actually drill down on this because I wouldn't be against some sort of laws that put the FCC in charge of internet regulation because I know people have talked about losing what was it, like internet autonomy or something a few years back. People
Yeah.
were super worried that like it was going to get taken over by the government and we'd have something like the Chinese internet.
Net
And
neutrality.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. So I'm pretty sure we can have the FCC jump in and help wrangle these big tech conglomerates in a way that won't affect net neutrality. Like that's not
I,
a crazy concept at all.
no, I agree with the net neutrality aspect of it. What I also agree with is something that one of the Republican senators said in these Senate hearings with Zuckerberg and Dorsey, is that it could be a slippery slope. And I know we don't like that. It's kind of a logical fallacy, but it could be a slippery slope in that the FCC would be exactly right here, having something to do with the freedom of speech. So,
Well, that's
uh,
why I brought up the Chinese internet.
yeah, right, yeah, which is very, very much different.
It kind of
Um,
disproves that slippery slope fallacy
yeah.
because I mean I can't predict the future, but like if you actually think federal regulations on big tech would turn our internet into something like China's, you're kind of delusional.
No, I don't think that. Again, like I said, I just think that things happen in a reactionary kind of way, so like
Yeah.
something else might happen after that. Anyways, I think we're on the same page mostly about that. But real quick before I move on to the next article, is this is the thing, is like it says right here, this is not opinion. The fact is there have been Congress has made laws and courts, blah blah blah, that abridge freedom of speech. Like that, it's not an opinion, it's a fact. So
Yeah, freedom of I love my favorite colloquialism is that freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequences.
right, yeah, exactly. Right, you can say whatever you want, but that might have certain consequences. So that's all I have pretty much on that. I'm going to close these for now because I have so many things open. And what I want to do is
Yeah,
just
your tabs are literally giving me a panic attack right now.
that's funny. Um, so then what I want to do is, because I've just been dying to talk about it, is talk about the election. And since you didn't read any of the other articles, it doesn't really matter what order we go in. So the reason I didn't
Hold on.
select, go ahead.
Before you, can I just say the one thing that I want to say about the election first? Do you mind if I go first this time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because it's
Get us
small.
started.
The Supreme Court shot down the one case that made it to the Supreme Court. Like nine to zero. Like
Two cases went.
okay, well, I heard that one was from Texas, and it's like, wait, but he won Texas.
No, so yeah, the Texas Attorney General tried to he appealed to the Supreme Court to throw out the votes of Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So yeah, and man, I wish I had, and I had an article with a quote that was basically it was like, this is the most egregious example of a state trying to interfere with another state. And like, I thought Republicans were all about us being able to do our own things within our own states. Like, that's what states' rights is all about, right? And so basically, yeah, the Attorney General and 17 others were trying to say, we don't like how these states ran their election. So they tried to get millions of votes thrown out, and it would have been the largest discredit, like the largest disenfranchisement of votes ever. Okay. So actually, something went to the Supreme Court earlier than that. So two things have gone to the Supreme Court, and I was telling Danielle and our therapist that like I've been having political anxiety, and I thought it would go away after the election, and it hasn't. And then I went into this weekend with some serious political anxiety because as of Friday night, when I had checked the news last, which was pretty early in the afternoon, the Texas-led Supreme Court case was still not decided or ruled upon. And then I woke up Saturday and I saw that the Supreme Court threw it out. And I was really like worried because it's like their last ditch effort, and you just never know what's going to happen in today's climate, especially when we have three justices that he appointed. So
that's what I'm saying is like, to be totally honest, like I'm a little surprised about the Supreme Court rulings because it just reminds me of the 2000 election, because that was the last time that an election fraud case or voter fraud case made it to the Supreme Court. It hasn't happened since then. And there was some serious court packing going on before that. Obviously, there was a Democrat in the House or in the presidency, but Clinton didn't have a great track record of like packing the court before the 2000 election the way Trump had. And then his Supreme Court threw out the cases. That should show you just how ridiculous the cases are.
Right. Yeah. No, now they're 1 for 57, I think, in court cases. They've won one, and it was in Pennsylvania, I think. But anyways, as you'll see here, Chris Krebs, lifelong Republican, was put in charge of the agency handling election security by President Trump 2 years ago. This guy was appointed by President Trump. When Krebs said the election was the country's most secure ever, Mr. Trump fired him. So that extremely smart young lady that is the producer of Tim Pool's show said, Chris Krebs, oh yeah, of course you would say that, because he was like, I did a good job, please don't fire me. But then he got fired. So like where's the correlation there?
Yeah, when she said that, I thought, like, I had the exact same thought. I was like, wait, how does that work? Just didn't make sense. Like the way she interpreted that is just like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just going to get through this real quick. So this was Krebs. I have confidence in the security of this election because I know the work that we've done for 4 years in support of our state and local partners. I know the work that the intelligence community has done, the Department of Defense has done, that the FBI has done, that my team has done. I know that these systems are more secure. I know based on what we have seen that any attacks on the election were not successful. And so what I'll say real quick is he says that his team is this cybersecurity infrastructure security agency that is under the Department of Homeland Security. I think they take things pretty seriously. And then this last part is just reiterates what we said before, is this guy's a Trump appointee and he was confirmed unanimously by a Republican controlled Senate. So yeah. That's Krebs.
Yeah, so, I'm interested to have a conversation with what's his face about that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there because
I don't know where he falls like on this. And there's a lot of different positions that he might take.
But he also calls himself a conspiracy realist, and like that's just
yeah. This is like the prime opportunity for that. Yeah, I didn't even realize. Like, oh wow, yeah,
because this is a real time one. Yeah, And you are the conspiracy guy. Like you literally took a class on it. So,
Yeah,
anyways, the reason this
I believe in like the 3 or 4 that actually happened.
right, like the Kennedy thing, and yeah,
9/11 and the fucking Lincoln assassination.
yeah. And
The,
then
the
so,
fucking
anyways,
bombing of the LA Times building. Yeah, sorry.
so anyways, just to show, this article right here is from Newsmax, and just to let everyone know, in case we do publish this, Newsmax is as far right as it can get. So, just to let you guys know, kind of like what I do on a daily, is I read this entire article. Look how long this thing is. It has almost every line that Trump said in his 46-minute address. Okay.
Yeah.
So the thing that really irked me about it is his quote here. This is not about honoring the votes of 74 million Americans who voted for me. It's about ensuring that Americans can have faith in this election and in all future elections. And I'll work backwards on this. Dude, literally everything he's doing is trying to ensure that Americans will not have faith in this election. That's every action that you are taking is the opposite of what you said in this sentence. And then the first sentence, or the first part of the sentence, I guess. If this isn't just about honoring the votes of the 74 million Americans voted for him, then it's about dishonoring the votes of the 80 million Americans who voted for Joe Biden. So,
Did you want to finish that quote? The election is about great voter fraud.
yeah, and that's just another lie. His overarching claim: this election is about great voter fraud that has never been seen like this before. It's just a lie, and that's the thing. Is like I said this on the family call earlier. Is when you or no, I don't know who I said it to, but basically when you are talking to the media and you're Rudy Giuliani or you're Sidney Powell or you're whoever, and you're talking on behalf of Donald Trump to the media about these far-fetched claims of voter fraud, there's no accountability there. You can lie and lie and lie and lie to the American people, but when you get to court, you cannot lie. You will be held in contempt of court. And that's why they are one of 57 in their court record right now. So it's crazy because the people who, yeah, and actually I'm going to move on to this one because.
Well, hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I really am kind of I'm getting a little almost burnt out on the term fascist. But it's like, oh, I'm sorry. When I see fascistic actions, I want to call them out. So,
Duck
like,
duck,
I
baby.
I already told you the basically turning point for me for voting for Biden
Yeah.
was when I thought Trump wasn't just flirting with fascism; he was downright exercising his fascist beliefs when he cleared a street in Washington, D.C. with federal troops using gas just for a photo op. Yeah. So that's like literally. I also at one point I would like you to just Google the term proto-fascist, and we can drill down how he is every bit like the definition of a proto-fascist. Nice. Why I was saying this is because these talking points that you're talking about, him essentially discrediting all future elections, is exactly something a fucking fascist would do. And I swore, but yeah. So.
Way to go, man. Way to go. No, yeah, exactly.
I just want to talk because I read and I hear him say these things, and I find it truly scary because that's where the state of American politics.
Okay, and I'm with you, man. But I'll say something, and certain things happen that give me hope. So something that I saw that gave me just a slightest glimmer of hope is that so 106 House of Representatives from the GOP signed an amicus brief supporting the Texas Supreme Court lawsuit. 106 sitting members of the House signed an amicus supporting the lawsuit. I forget who it was, but a House Democrat came out and said that Congress should not allow them to sit as members of Congress in this coming term of Congress because of sedition. And essentially, I think the Third Amendment or something that they broke in the violation of the Constitution by engaging in like rebellion, essentially.
Yeah. I think I heard, like, I was watching a pundit or somebody and they were talking about that. And they were talking about how Republicans are just engaging in a little light sedition.
Yeah, just light sedition. Right, exactly.
A little light sedition before they, go home to their mansions.
Anyways, this next one actually is really this couple of lines that I think I know where to find them and how to find them. Yeah, right here.
I need to make a drink. When's the time for a good break?
Let's yeah, I guess I need to make one too. Do we just go and then come back? Is that how that works?
Yeah, just be fast. All right. So what's this last one?
So this one, I don't know why you called it the last one. It's not the last one. So anyways, especially I've got one that we're going to get to. It's got Gerald Ford in it. I think you're going to like the historical relevancy that it brings to light. Anyways, what I want to say real quick, because what I've been engaging in with these articles, it can technically be called cherry picking because I'm highlighting and taking pieces of what someone said to fit my own narrative, right? Yeah, I'm okay with saying that.
Well, the other thing is, like, this is it's a literacy, like, because we're teachers, it's the literacy strategy that I talked about in a previous YouTube video. It's called the gist. You look at an article, you get the gist of it, and then you share. Like, it's a good literacy strategy.
So this is why I want to start this one with a disclaimer, because this is a really long article that I read, and it talks about how, so right here it actually says, I understand, I can see compelling evidence on each side. And like, I just kind of don't agree with that, because anyways, that's not what I want to talk about. This is what I want to talk about.
What is this article about?
It says, who won the presidency, America?
Okay.
Yeah, so same topic. So I'm going to just read it. This is the problem with what happens when a country loses its shared sense of reality. When 70 million people might be living in an entirely different world, we can understand in theory that their world isn't what's happening, but we still have to deal with its existence, even if that existence is only in their heads.
How can there be compelling evidence for both sides with that argument? Like, that's crazy.
It's in the same paragraph, dude. Yeah. I just because I think that this is important because I honestly believe that. So, and let's see if I have it. Oh yeah, right here. So this is the one we're going to get to about Ford, but I've seen multiple polls now from both the right. So Rasmussen is considered like a right-leaning poll, and like Monmouth University would probably be considered center, probably leftist to anyone who's not on the on or yeah. Anyways, the poll found that 77% of the president's supporters believe that Biden won the election due to fraud. And so I've seen different versions of the same poll where it's 70 to 80% of Republicans, not just Trump's supporters, but 70 to 80% of Republicans think that the election was won by Joe Biden due to fraud. And so that's where I come back to this one. And it's like, dude, this is a false sense of reality that they live in. And we have to understand that I just don't know. I don't know how you deal with those people other than just like, it's like I've almost disengaged about talking to politics with Aunt Donna because it's like, I know that it's echo chambered over there with Paul because Paul's probably even more conservative than she is. And yeah, so.
Yeah. I had something, but I dead air. No, sorry. Yeah, I had something, but I forgot. Oh, this is why I need a fucking notepad. I didn't even get a fucking notepad for this.
You just said the F word twice, dude.
I should be taking notes. I already said it once, so it doesn't really matter at this point. Yeah. Now, there was something with the. Oh yeah, no. It really pisses me off because I've been watching a lot of like video punditry. You and I consume media in a completely different way, and yeah, so like I've been watching a lot of these fucking copers coping. They can't cope. It's a big internet term thing, I guess. Like the lefties are saying that the right can't get enough copium. Yeah, it's weird.
Sounds weird.
But it's just like eerily like mirroring 2016 because it's like the Russiagate. They are literally, it's like Ben Shapiro turned into fucking Rachel Maddow. That's what's happening. You're watching it and it's like, dude,
yeah,
lost, get over it.
Yeah.
I was never, and we were never those like, that was a very specific and loud, I think, a loud vocal minority of the left, of Democrats, that really drew out the whole Russiagate thing. Like, the way I see it, I have a copy of the Mueller report. Russia obviously interfered with our election. Did they collude with the Trump campaign? That was not proven. Like, it's really simple, like all of it. And like, it happened. If you're normal, you get over it. But if you're on network television,
my thing too is I think it not only did Russia, or I think that from the Mueller report you can glean two things. Russia's interference didn't actually have much of an effect on the election, and you can't prove that the Trump campaign colluded with any foreign adversaries. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what's really ridiculous is like, I feel like just the fact, like, his business contacts should have made him qualify for collusion, but the way you've told me a million times is those are also reasons why he violated the emoluments clause.
Every day he's in office. Every day.
Carter sold his peanut farm.
Yeah, exactly, dude. You have the historical relevancy to bring up anecdotal shit that makes sense. Um, but like that's just yeah. I wish I had it right here because I'd show the people, but like I literally have that copy of the Constitution. Oh, it's in the other room. Like it's just in my house. I can look at it whenever I want to. I can look at the Bill of Rights. I can look at the Federalist Papers.
It's actually in a lot of history books, and I haven't. I keep all of my textbooks that I've bought since I started going back to ASU. I don't rent or return them. I buy my textbooks all flat out because I wanted to fill my bookshelf.
Did,
But a lot of history books. I have like 5 or 6 copies of the Constitution.
nice. Did we talk about the book that is it's like what your history book lied to you about?
Yeah, I got one of those.
Oh, you have the book?
Not that history book. I have another one. It's called Things That Weren't in Your American History Book. It's not the one that's about the lies. It's just kind of it's more like jokey anecdotal stuff.
Word. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, let's move on. The next one, because we can just wrap up this topic. Yeah, dude, this one hits home for me. So I thought I was prepared for the various unprecedented scenarios that might unfold in this post-election pre-inauguration period. We knew because Trump told us that he would not accept a loss to Joe Biden no matter what. So I honestly wish that we had started doing this a long time ago, so there was a recorded version of me saying what I thought would happen, because I don't know why I'm so riddled with political anxiety right now, because I knew what's happening right now was going to happen. I knew it. Like, I knew that Donald Trump would do anything and everything to try to, and that's the other thing too, is my main point in all of this is, what if Donald Trump had won? Would he still be saying that this was the most fraud riddled election in our history? And would he have fired Chris Krebs if he had won? You think so? You think? What do you think?
Dude, if he had won everything, I think everything would be different.
Yeah. So it's not even it's the fact that he told us the whole time, but like my whole thing is, the one thing that I didn't agree with was, because we generally don't agree with him on much anymore, but Bill Maher was like, I think he's going to refuse to leave the White House, blah, blah, blah. I think Trump is going to go to Florida in the next week or two and not come back.
Yeah, he said that. He said he's going to leave, I think, Christmas, maybe Christmas Day or something like that. But Trump said that he's going to leave the White House and never go back.
Crazy.
Yeah. No, and this was a very common take, bro. Like, everybody knew this. Bernie came out with a long speech where he actually said what would happen election night, how it would seem to go in his favor at first because of in-person voting, and then as mail-in votes came in, he would start to lose. And then when he lost, he would never accept his loss. Bernie came out with a speech and said this. Kyle Kalinske did a video saying this.
I was going to say, I don't remember the Bernie doing that. It doesn't surprise me because he's the man, but I distinctly remember Kyle Kalinske. Kalinske was on Joe Rogan and he was like, dude, this is how it's going to happen. Trump's going to lead early. And Joe and his friend were all like, yeah, Trump's got it in the bag. And it was
the thing is, we all knew like it was going to be crazy and they were going to call fraud and he was going to boo-hoo, but like I think none of us actually prepared for this, like emotionally, mentally. Like, we didn't actually prepare for the fallout of his, I don't know,
denial.
Yes, of his denial.
Here, okay, all right. Glad I was able to help you with that. So this one you're gonna like, because this talks about Ford and Mr. Davis and I actually had a brief conversation about this kind of is like Ford probably only did one thing during his presidency, but how important the one thing he actually accomplished was just so important. He brought normalcy back to American politics. Like it was in such turmoil. And what's your opinion on that? I've been curious actually.
What did he do? I don't know. I don't know
He
this.
he didn't lie. He didn't do much of anything. He just didn't do bad stuff and lie and like be Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
He was
Um,
not Nixon essentially.
yeah. I that's probably why he lost to Carter.
Right.
Honestly,
So then that's why I asked you is because you probably have better knowledge of what Ford did or didn't do during his
okay.
presidency.
Well, here's my historical knowledge of that. And like, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to base this off of the movie Vice about Dick Cheney. Because Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld were like up and comers. And then the whole Nixon thing happened. And they say that something like this in the movie. He's like, anybody not attached to Nixon, any Republican not attached to Nixon right now is golden. So these two guys, they weren't like in Nixon's main circle.
Yeah.
But then when all that shit happened and Nixon resigned, they were coming up during the Ford administration. Like they were like crafting their neocon plan.
Uh,
And yeah, so you'll see like they later played instrumental parts in the Reagan administration. But what happened was Nixon resigned. These guys are coming up under Ford, but then Ford loses. And it's like, oh, okay, well, Dick Cheney went back to being a senator in Wyoming, I think, and Rumsfeld just like, I don't know, went into his turtle shell because he's a nightmare.
yeah. I'll tell you what, the worst guy for the neocons, in my opinion, is Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich literally was like, the only way we can fix this is to blow it up.
But dude, you have to. Have you seen the Chris Farley Newt Gingrich impression?
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
He passes 60 laws in 60 seconds.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Something like that. That's not right, but like he does something like that. It's so ridiculous.
Okay. So the reason I wanted to show you this one, and I thought you would like it, and this is totally just opinion. It's opinion. Like, that's all this is. Um, so at the time of his inauguration, Ford, here, I'll just highlight it actually. Ford was aware, as Biden is now, that his predecessor had lied to the American people and that truth telling was necessary for the successful functioning of democracy. Yeah. And I also wish I had another article that I had pulled right previously. It was CNN, but it was this like Republican congressional lawyer or something who was a CNN contributor. And he basically said that right now the big thing is you have one party that believes in democracy and one party that's pushing for the end of democracy. And I noticed that you briefly kind of broached that subject with Andrew for a second. You're like, how you feel about democracy? That's a whole different question. But that's my thing is like, they don't want democracy. They don't want to make it easier for people to vote.
Well,
And
you've talked about how democracy is not a form of government; it's a ideology. Really?
sure, but it can be the way you run a republic.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, but it's exactly the way people should understand communism, and literally hardly anyone does.
What do you mean?
Communism. There are no communist governments.
Oh, sure. Um, yeah. Yeah, because
Like
I guess.
I guess just like there aren't any actual democracies. Like there can be a democratic government, but that government's going to take place in either parliamentary, Republican, or I don't know what other sort of representative governments exist, but democracy is not one of them.
So right. So what would you call China though? A communist
Oh,
authoritarian state?
and that's another thing is I'm glad you brought this up because I heard somebody earlier say that authoritarian communism was like an oxymoron, like it didn't make sense. But I've always considered uh, like communist Russia, the Soviet Union, communist China
Yeah.
to be authoritarian communism.
Right.
But when you think about it, that term actually doesn't make sense. And what you can do to refer to those instances of socialism or communism is refer to the namesakes of them. Stalinism is basically what you should refer to whenever you're talking about Russian communism. You're
Soviet
talking about Stalinism. I believe China is just in a modern form of Maoism.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. What do you call Cuba and Venezuela? The thing about Venezuela that most people don't know is, hold on, 70% of Venezuela's GDP is privately owned.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's more than ours.
Shit, maybe. That might be. Yeah, actually, because a lot of our, is healthcare, and that's partial.
Yeah,
Maybe.
people refer to China as communist and like they have a hugely privatized economy.
Okay, so this is actually, I'm glad you said that because Mr. Davis and I had a brief conversation also about this, is that if people, and like people who want to say communism's dead, it's like, so what's China doing?
Once again, I am really viewing communism and democracy the way you actually started to get me to think about democracy. They are ideologies. Like you can have governments that try to, I don't know.
Well, then
losing it.
I guess what I would say is that neither democracy or communism are dead, because democracy is the way we try to run our republic, and communism is thriving and well in China.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm just saying, people are like, communism doesn't work. It's like, so what's China doing? Why is China going to overtake us as the largest?
Literally say the same thing. Democracy doesn't work. Pure democracy doesn't work. It's like, okay, it's because it's never existed. Neither is pure communism. Like,
exactly. Yeah, I agree. So this one is really interesting. It's called, the name of this article is called The Big Lie. And it's from The Hill, which generally I thought posted like, I guess they post everything. I don't know, because this is a liberal.
There's center left, from my understanding.
Okay. So right here, polls show that 70 and 80% of Republicans believe the election was rigged. Oh yeah, that's what the big lie does. It turns wishful thinking into radical reality.
Oh, dude, the big lie. That's so funny because I follow online punditry very closely. There's this elderly black gentleman named Jesse Lee Peterson who puts out highly conservative content, and he calls Democrats and liberals, all of us, children of the lie. It's a big thing. It's really funny. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a good one. You should read all of the articles I sent you. Yeah, actually, because, oh yeah, dude, you'll love this.
Yeah, I see what it has. Like, oh, I like that.
And obviously, yeah, like I said, there's no comparison between this, but like what they talk about for the big lie is it's right here is
I think I'll actually really like this article.
yeah, Germany after World War One. Its core claim explains was that Imperial Germany never lost the war. That's the lie. Yes.
Oh yeah, got it. It's like that's. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't believe lies.
So military officers, monarchists, and right wingers spread the myth that if it had not been for political sabotage by social democrats and Jews back home, the army would have never had to give in. This, despite indisputable fact.
Dude,
You
you
see
know
this?
what? It's like, no, this is something that you probably don't know. There were, I have to look up the numbers, but there were probably 30 or 40,000 Jews in the German army during the First World War. So like they helped them fight, and then they're like, oh, they only helped us fight because they were spying on us the whole time.
Yeah, right. Preparing their what? Their imminent demise?
Yeah, no, there's another quote where people are talking about spies and like native spies, and it's like, oh yeah, you must be a traitor if you speak the same language as the people you're spying on.
What the?
How do you spy on them if you don't speak the same language? You have to learn their language, but then you're a traitor. It's so backwards. Like that is like the base of almost all anti-Semitism. It's a rejection of modernity and an acceptance at the same time. It's like, wait, Jews made all these good things happen, but it's their fault.
That the good things happen, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, this is kind of funny just to bring it full circle because like America first, right? And so like this literally happened like 2 days ago. Oh no, in October? Oh no, this is way back in March. Anyways, oh, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission voted 2-1 in March to allow plans for a pipeline in Oregon to move forward, and in doing so also gave a Canadian company the right to seize land from American property owners. Okay. Love Canada, love globalism. I'm a fan of all that stuff, but you can't talk about being America first and being anti Canada and you hate Trudeau and you hate globalism, but then this happens under your watch. And not only that, I read this, the 2-1 vote it's 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat. Guess which way they voted? So, yeah. Anyways, this is just Trump making America first because that's his promise, and he gave a Canadian drilling company literally, like, do you see the right to seize land from American property owners?
Yeah, well, if that's true, that's absolutely outrageous. But
It's
once
true.
again, I also, yeah, it sucks when these sort of globalist things happen or like they make trade agreements that you agree with, but then they totally botch it. Like they add some clause or do something that makes it absolutely ridiculous, like the ability to seize American land.
Exactly. It's like build a pipeline, I guess, but
Yeah, crazy. I want to keep talking. I need a drink though.
well, okay.
done sharing your screen?
No, I was just closing some articles because I am done with that topic.
I know this is kind of personal, and we don't have to go too far into it while we're in this format. During our family chat, did you mention to them our new YouTube channel?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Mom was literally like gushing over me when she watched my debate,
Yeah, I know.
and I feel like we should share this with them. Like I actually think I mean, I bet even Dave would like it. He's retired.
I just, I want to post this on the channel. I don't care. That's the thing is like we're
Yeah,
doing this.
we
Let's
don't need
fucking do
to
it. So,
talk about this too much.
the thing I was gonna say that's not on topic is that I've been meaning to tell you is I'm flying into Vegas, not Phoenix.
When?
Christmas Day is the day I'm flying, and I'm flying out New Year's Eve day. I was just letting you know because I just don't want to drive 4.5 hours both ways, and yeah, so I'm flying into Vegas, and that's it.
Why would flying to Vegas be better?
Because it's only like 2 hours to get to Havasu.
All right, let's talk about this later.
Okay.
You
Anyways,
hear that?
no.
Dude, driving from Phoenix to Havasu sucks.
Yeah, dude.
Long trip, you want to fall asleep. And yes, it is longer. Not by much, though.
I guess I also just like Vegas more. I don't know.
All right,
brother.
all right.
Okay, cool.
Let's stop with the personal
Me
talk.
too. I like Vegas way more.
All right. Dude, come on. What are you doing?
Laura's going to work, and I'm like in the hallway. Not really. I'm in the kitchen. Got to
Right.
walk through the kitchen to get to the garage.
I understand how your house works. I've been there.
I forgot.
So I wish I had more pulled up for this subject, especially because it's education and like, okay, so I'll just say real quick, this one I don't even have like
Hold on. Whoa. Can you go back to the top? I was reading that quote.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. Can I tell you why the quote? Okay, go ahead if you wanted to say something.
Can it be both?
Dude, not just that. Systemic racism is the cause of the achievement gap.
Okay, sorry. I read the first sentence and I'm like, I'm sorry, if you're gonna show this to me, I need to talk about it.
No, that's literally all that I don't.
Sorry, did I just ruin your talking point?
No, not really. You just said exactly the way you should. The way one, if you work in education, then you understand how problematic this sentence is.
Yeah. Okay, got it. And that's the other thing, like with Mom being, at this point, like a lifelong educator.
Yeah.
She affects like the way you and I think, like period. And it's very educationally based.
Yeah. I also work with like all black kids, so like this stuff is really important to me.
I work with all Hispanic kids.
Right. Working with minorities or with a minority base is just
And
different.
it's funny because it's not like they're the minority at my school.
Dude, I have two white students. In all of my classes, I have two white students.
Yeah.
Not a single Hispanic or Asian.
Yeah. And that's what's really interesting is I have white kids and they're going to go to schools where they are not part of the racial majority of that school.
Yeah. So, anyways, the other thing I wanted to say is, so City Journal is the source for this guy here, and City Journal is so, in my opinion, it's pretty right wing. So it just goes to show that, like, I try to read as much as I can from both sides, because look at how long this article is, dude. And I read this whole thing, like this. Oh wait, did I? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read this whole article. Yes, exactly. Because I remember looking at these graphics, and it's, dude, these are graphics that you'll see, right? The National Assessment of Educational Progress. Like, you'll see this everywhere, but like, what she's essentially saying is that racism and structural and institutional racism is not the cause of these disparities. She talks about these disparities, and like they're the root cause, and it's like, okay, what's the root cause of those disparities then?
Yeah, it's really basic thinking. It's like, no offense, but like it's just a low IQ interpretation of the statistics.
Right. And so right here, the myth of bias, whether in medicine, technology, or finance, can be maintained only by ignoring the skills gap. The skills gap, just like the achievement gap, is borne out due to systemic racism. Give Cody a gold star. It's not like
It's literally like she's just forgetting the concluding paragraph in every point. It's like, and this is because of systemic racism.
Yeah, this is just. Okay, yeah, see, and this is just like pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality right here. The hatred unleashed by the myth of bias is tearing down urban life. Violence and public disorder are being excused in the name of racial justice. The only solution to the darkening prospects for a civilized existence is honesty about the cause of racial employment disparities and an unapologetic embrace of hard work and high expectations for all.
Yeah, that last phrase like makes me throw up in my mouth.
Yeah. The only thing that I do agree with is this. That's part of one of the things that I truly believe in is having high expectations. But those high expectations need to be tailored to almost every individual. So
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
And that's what I've been getting really, or I heard somebody else talking about how the left is pushing for, and this is great for education because it's not true at all. It's the biggest straw man there is that the left is pushing for equality of outcome. Like they think every person is just going to be like a light brown skinned, gender neutral, asexual alien. Like that's what we want. And it's like, oh, okay.
Totally. I don't identify as a man because you told me not to.
I don't appreciate diversity at all, and we are not the side that appreciates diversity. Wait. Oh shit! But yeah, so like that's the whole thing. Is like they keep straw manning about people on the left wanting to do that, and it's just like, how many people on the left do you actually know and talk to?
Yeah, that goes both ways though, because I've talked to Matt actually about this, and Matt interacts with very few people with conservative leanings. So
honestly, he's black guy, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that would make it even harder for me.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
No, I'm with you. So anyways, this article also, you should just read it, but you should definitely read this one. Because God, it goes through just so much horse manure. But anyways, the quote I have pulled up on this one is, parents are forming Instagram sites, and at least one group calling itself No Left Turn in Education is seeking to mobilize parents around the country to reverse the woke juggernaut.
Dude, I read this article.
Oh, because I sent it to you then.
Yes. Okay. The fact that there's an organization, it's literally, it's anti-SJW, anti-woke culture. And what's really interesting is like their whole thing is that this SJW woke culture is problematic, but it's just not. And like I have a sort of personal example that I actually did want to flesh out with you, and we might as well since we're at this point. So like people talk about the left forcing LGBTQ ideologies on children and shit like that, and it's like, okay, there might be like one or two cases where there's people that are putting their kids on hormone blockers and transitioning before the age of 18. Yes, that might be happening, and I can see how that might be problematic. It is absolutely a minority case situation. Like that is so obscure, that instance. And the reason I wanted to make it personal is because I have a daughter that dresses extremely androgynously, and she has short hair. Like she basically attempts to look like a 14-year-old boy instead of a 12-year-old girl. I'm not pushing any sort of gender transition, like anything like that. Like you can have you can practice those expressions of personality, and it have nothing to do with your gender.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's like if you're such a leftist, why aren't you pushing those things on your daughter? Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's what the point I was trying to make. Thank you.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So this is the woman who created that Instagram No Left Turn in Education. They're using very positive words like diversity, equity, and inclusivity to mislead you, but the message behind these words is horrifying. I don't know what's so horrifying about the message behind this, because I literally engage in DEI all the time. And that's like that. We literally had a meeting the other day that was like, our school pretty much exists for DEI.
Cody, I think you're misreading it there. It's the misleading that is horrifying. It's not the words. It's not diversity, equity, inclusivity.
I know what they're saying.
Oh, well, I don't know that you just said that, but I think I got confused by what you were just saying. Sorry.
I'm just saying I engage in that all the time, and I understand. They're trying to make it look like boogeyman words, but in my opinion, that's what they're trying to do. But they're trying to say that we're using them not in their textbook definition way, but that's literally how we're using them.
Well, no, they're saying that No Left Turn is using those words, which are supposed to be like innocuous and positive and good words, but the message, I don't know how we're like,
because the quote came from the No Left Turn lady.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. God. Yeah, my bad.
Okay.
Hold on. Wait, what? Okay. Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. I was reading that wrong. The entire paragraph. I was reading that wrong. My bad. I got it. I'm good. Sorry.
So let's move on, because that was a weird derailment. They talk about how, where does it start? They talk about the difference between viewpoint diversity and something else. diversity group. Darn it. I should have saved this. But basically, do you know what viewpoint diversity is?
I mean, I think I've heard of it.
So this is a good idea. Right here, I'll just highlight it again.
It sounds like the catalyst for differentiation.
No, this is totally, this is not about differentiation at all. I'm still on the racism stuff.
That's fine.
So how is it that when you're talking about a Eurocentric curriculum, there isn't the request that the story of Christopher Columbus be presented through multiple lenses? And that's the thing, is like, they're saying that introducing this type of like 1619 type of curriculum shows only one viewpoint, but it's like, oh, but previously you were showing different viewpoints. It's right here. It begs the question of, why do we now insist on viewpoint diversity? It's like, now that we want kids to understand that there was a black opinion of the way the history of America is.
Yeah. So like, this is actually, I don't know. I feel like it's related to a mini unit that I just created, where it's basically a Holocaust mini unit that is supposed to exist within a larger World War II unit for like 11th grade students. So within your World War II unit, you do a mini unit of the Holocaust for like 5 days. But I thought about this really hard, because I thought, should I do this at the beginning or at the end? And I wanted to do it at the beginning to do the idea of viewpoint diversity. So I start my Holocaust mini unit with a video from the United Nations about genocide and genocide prevention and awareness. And that, I feel like, creates a framework through which from there, I teach the students about the rise of Hitler and Nazism, and then I just go into the Holocaust, like the camps, the perpetrators, all of that. And then I end it with a formative essay or a summative essay where they compile all that stuff. But I had considered putting the genocide awareness video from the United Nations at the end of the unit, but I realized that it functioned well as a hook, and it also set the framework for the unit.
So this is totally random and different, but we just got an SRO at my school, and I was like, I don't know what an SRO is.
I just wrote like a 10-page advocacy plan for SEL, and for conflict social emotional learning with conflict resolution, because SROs, surveillance cameras, the things that are known as visible security measures, have proven to basically be ineffective at reducing school violence.
I also I personally don't typically support the idea of an SRO. So first of all, I didn't know what it was. Like, they were saying, oh, we're going to have an SRO. He's coming this, blah, blah, blah. And then I found out, it's a school resource officer. For those of you watching, all four of you, is a school resource officer is essentially a police officer put into a school. And the reason I also thought it was really weird for us right now is we don't have any students in the building.
Oh, yeah. Now
I met him the other day because we were coming in around the same time, and we introduced ourselves to each other, and it literally he was like, yeah, it's kind of weird because I walk the halls and they're just
they're all empty. I was like, yeah, well, me and Mr. Davis are two of the only people that ever come, and we're up on the 4th floor. Yeah, but I don't know. I think a conversation for us to have at a different time is like just a deep dive into education, actually, because the DEI stuff that I feel very strongly about and very proud that I work for an organization that doesn't just pay lip service to it, but we actually are trying to actively be anti-racist, all the things. But also the other things about education that I feel strong, like, dude, our school lunches are terrible. Like, I can't even believe that we expect these kids to eat this junk. And like, I know that Lady Obama, that was like her big thing as first lady, is trying to get healthy food for kids. And like, I hope we have another first lady who does that with Jill Biden. Like, I hope Jill Biden picks that up and is like, because Jill Biden's an educator by trade. And it would be cool. Yeah, we just need better food for our kids. And I don't think that we need SROs at all. There was one other thing that I feel, oh yeah, later starts. We should just start schooling later. So yeah, the scheduling is totally ridiculous. Something that you need to look into. And like, I'm sure when you bring it up to anybody else and start researching it, you'll be like, oh, but it's social emotional learning.
I know what SEL is, dude.
Oh, yeah, never mind. I just wrote a whole advocacy plan trying to get it. And I actually like made a legit proposal. Like, I proposed it for my kid's school district, the school district that I have taught in and that my kids go to. I don't think they currently have a great SEL program. What they have is PBIS. It's do you know what that is?
Yeah, so we do PBIS too, but we also do SEL. Does that make sense?
Well, and some people are like, oh, PBIS is our version of SEL, and it's like
we do both.
Yeah, no, and that I think that's better because, like I said, there is no actual SEL programs being folded into the Paradise Valley School District.
Yeah.
However, they are using PBIS, and that is, I think, technically a version of SEL.
Yeah, so and that's my other thing too is I was in a PD and I'm so green when it comes to like pedagogy and stuff like that like I was in the beginning of this PD the other day and they had said PBIS multiple times and I was like, all right, I don't even care because I'm new. I'm asking what does PBIS means because I need to know what this means if I'm going to sit through an hour or an hour and a half of professional development and you guys are using this acronym.
Yeah, that's not at all a stupid question.
No.
Yeah.
It's like performance behavior, blah, 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 something.
It's positive behavioral
Yeah.
interventions and supports.
Sure. All right, so Danielle's cooking something and it smells really good. What you cooking?
I'm making homemade biscuits with gravy.
Oh, yeah. We're having breakfast for dinner. So
Biscuits and gravy.
Yeah,
That's funny.
It's venison gravy.
Oh,
yeah.
I found a really good canned sausage gravy.
Nice.
It's like the gravy John used to make. It's so fucking good.
All right, so I'm gonna go and I guess just post this whenever. Send it to me if you want to.
Yeah, no, I'll take care of it probably tonight or tomorrow.
All right, so anyone watching, subscribe to the channel. Do it. I don't care if you like the video. Don't like it. Don't comment. Don't do anything. Just subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, and next time we will have an introduction and perhaps an outline for our conversation. At
Totally.
least introduction.
Yeah.
We just get right into it, and I didn't mention anything. I was like, okay.
Yeah, totally. That and you like threw me into it too. You're like, why don't you just start?
Good point. I didn't.
So I also have, instead of saying what's good and, whatever to the camera, I want to either have sign off lines or beginning lines. But it's my two mantras is knowledge is power and be the change that you want to be in the world.
I like knowledge is power because it's shorter.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that. Yep. We'll go with that.
Okay.
All right.
Power.
All right. Later, man. Where do I stop it? Oh, yeah. Okay.